Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. What if orcs got civilized? Let's imagine how the world would look if orcs were as civilized as humans. Would they still attack everything that moves and burn villages? Or maybe they would build their own empire? Let's find out. Orcs are strong and warlike, but also very stupid, bloodthirsty and cruel. They live in small tribes, ruled by a chieftain, who is chosen for his strength and courage in battle. Orcs have never invented writing, so history has not preserved any records of their civilization, and only legends passed down from mouth to mouth tell about the greatness of their former civilizations. But what if one day they decided to improve themselves, invent writing, kick the habit of burning villages and killing everything that moved? The world would certainly be very surprised. But let's take it step by step. As soon as the orcs get tired of constant wars and destruction and decide to engage in something more civilized, for example, like agriculture, they will quickly realize that just one tribe is not enough to feed all the orcs. At first, the neighboring tribes would continue to pillage and kill each other as before. However, the moment someone invents farming and gets an excess of food, the migration of hordes of hungry orcs will begin, and this will lead to the emergence of the first Orcish city. In this city, representatives of different tribes will unite and live together. But even here, there will be many problems. First of all, crime. In human cities, there are policemen to maintain order. But among the orcs, the strongest will always be right, and only wars between city tribes will put an end to this law. After losing many warriors during such wars, the orcs will understand that only a strong leader can protect them from external aggression. Thus, the chieftain system will appear, which will be formed into an actual monarchy with hereditary rulers. The new Orcish kingdom will face another problem: logistics. Now that the orcs have settled in one place and do not have to move constantly in search of food, they will need to bring water into the city. The abundance of water will allow breeding livestock, which in turn will require pastures. As soon as the orcs start taking care of the fields and livestock, they will need to come up with a way to store grain. For these purposes, they will build which will also serve as treasuries for weapons and armor, which will be made by blacksmiths. And to protect all this wealth, the orcs will need an army. A military state will emerge that will put everything else in the shade. All disputes between merchants and farmers, battles over fertile lands, slave revolts and wars with neighbors will seem like trifles compared to the victories that await the Orcish armies. So the orcs will go to conquer the world and establish their dominance over other races. Having no equal among people in terms of military power, the orcs will be able to create a huge empire. Under their rule, entire continents will tremble. At the peak of its power, the Orcish Empire will consist of several large cities and dozens of small settlements. Each settlement will be inhabited by different clans of orcs, each of which will differ from the others in appearance and way of life. The largest city will be the capital, where the emperor and his court will reside. It will also be the most beautiful city with magnificent palaces, wide streets, shops, and taverns. In addition, there will be numerous statues of great emperors erected throughout the city. The main city will be surrounded by a wall with towers and battlements, as well as a deep moat. Any outsider who dares to approach the city will be asked to leave without a fight to prevent riots and looting. An elite guard will patrol the streets, armed with swords and shields. If necessary, the city's defenders could use catapults located on the top of the walls. Inside the empire, trade will flourish, connecting distant settlements along the trade routes. Merchants will travel from city to city, selling all kinds of goods, spices, and fabrics from the east, as well as weapons, furs, and leather goods from the north. But let's look at the settlements that will be located outside the capital. This is a typical Orcish town. Most buildings here will be made of wood, stone, and thatch, with the exception of the town hall building, which will be built of white marble. At the entrance to the town, there will be a sign with the emblem of the clan that lives here. Inside the town, there will be houses, barns, blacksmiths, taverns, and a large training ground. On the outskirts, there will be wooden barracks for soldiers, as well as stables and cells for captured enemies. Near the settlement will be a pasture where cows, goats, sheep and pigs will graze. A little further away, beyond the river, there will be hunting grounds where wild animals run freely. This is necessary to replenish the supply of meat for the townspeople. The townspeople will also grow vegetables on the fields and plant vineyards. It may seem that the orcs have completely changed, but this will only be partly true. The fact is that despite the desire for a normal life, the orcs will still remain warlike. This means that the city needs a good defense. Walls, towers, ditches, barracks, and weapons are just part of this defense. Each orc settlement will have its own standing army whose duty it will be to defend the settlement and attack enemies. Only the size of the army will depend on the importance of the settlement. The capital will have the largest army in the empire, while the provinces will have much fewer soldiers. Orc warriors will wear steel armor and helmets with visors. Their weapons will be sharp and beautifully crafted. Every orc boy will dream of becoming a warrior. They will revere strength and courage, despise weakness and fear, fighting for the glory of the clan. Participating in military campaigns and defending their homeland will be considered the highest honor. But not only the military will enjoy respect in the Orcish Empire. Farmers, artisans, and merchants will also be honored. Without them, the prosperity of the state would be impossible. The military will protect the borders, farmers will grow food, and merchants will develop trade. All three classes will be equally important for the smooth functioning of the state. Trade will play a big role in the life of the Orcish Empire. Merchants will travel along special roads connecting the settlements. The largest trading centers will be located in large cities. There, merchants from different countries will gather in special places to sell their goods. Thanks to trade, the cities will become richer and more beautiful, and the treasury of the empire will be replenished. But unfortunately, not all races will want to trade peacefully with the orcs. Some will try to attack the Orcish caravans. Bandits and whole gangs of ogres will be especially dangerous. Because of this, the emperor will have to create a special order whose task will be to protect travelers. Such guards will accompany merchants on their way and protect them from robbers. But not only external enemies will be dangerous for the Orcish Empire, internal strife will also be inevitable. Over time, ambitious generals will begin to carve out their own principalities within the empire, and whole clans will be involved in interclan wars. To prevent this, the emperor will have to spend part of his time putting down rebellions and securing the borders. Despite all the complexity of government, the Orcish Empire will still stand out for its hospitality. Representatives of different races will be able to visit the capital without fear, because the emperor will value the title of the most hospitable ruler. Visiting the capital will be considered an honor. And of course, the center of the capital will be the imperial palace, where the emperor and his courtiers live. It will be surrounded by a high wall and guarded by an elite guard. Inside the palace, there will be chambers for courtiers, servants, kitchens, as well as a throne room. The emperor will hold receptions here for ambassadors and other important guests. Also on the palace grounds will be a stable for horses and other animals used for riding. The emperor's personal guard will be housed in a separate building. Only the bravest and most reliable warriors will be selected for this service. They will wear special ornate armor and carry unique weapons. To maintain their fighting shape, the warriors will train in a special arena. To diversify their leisure time, the orcs will build large arenas where they will arrange fights between warriors, as well as theatrical performances. The orcs will love to watch battles to the death. That's in their blood. So we got to the conclusion that if the orcs suddenly decided to become civilized, the world would change beyond recognition. The orcs would forget about raids and devastation, take up farming and cattle breeding, build cities, and create an empire. Of course, there would be no peace in it, but the wars would be more organized and on a larger scale. Well, that's all for today. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and goodbye.